Hello, and welcome to another edition of In Touch Safety, the workplace health and safety webinar series presented by Encompass Michigan, the statewide network of comprehensive human service providers working together to develop independence and achieve inclusive communities. The topic of today's webinar is building an effective safety culture. My name is Todd Culver. I'm the president and CEO of Encompass Michigan. And In Touch Safety is a training project that's in partnership with MIOSHA, and this material was prepared under a Consultation Education and Training, or CET, division grant awarded by MIOSHA. MIOSHA is a part of the Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity, or LEO, and Encompass Michigan has a long-standing and valued partnership with MIOSHA's CET division. The focus of today's webinar will be on the premise that a safe workplace is built on the foundation of an effective safety culture. In a previous episode of this In Touch Safety webinar series, we've discussed federal OSHA's recommended practices for safety and health programs and how they present a step-by-step approach to implementing safety and health policies and procedures built around 7 core elements that make up a successful program. The main goal of safety and health programs and the culture on which they are built is to prevent workplace injuries, illnesses, and deaths, as well as the suffering and financial hardship these events can cause for workers, their families, and employers. Those 7 recommended practices from federal OSHA include management leadership, worker participation, hazard identification and assessment, prevention and control of those hazards, education and training, program evaluation and improvement, and communication and coordination. These recommended practices use a proactive approach to managing workplace safety and health, whereas traditional approaches are often reactive. Problems are addressed only after a worker is injured or becomes sick. A new standard or regulation is published, or an outside inspection finds a problem that must be fixed. But these recommended practices recognize that finding and fixing hazards before they cause injury or illness is a far more effective approach. In fact, the most rigorous preventive safety program takes the view that there is always something different about an incident leading to injury that could have been different. Accidents, in fact, don't just happen. It is incumbent upon us as employers and service providers to continuously assess the landscape to identify the potential for a problem and fix it before one occurs. Previously, as mentioned, we have presented a framework for effective safety programs based on that federal OSHA model that promote prevention. But our focus today will be on the concept that one of the foundations of such an effective safety program is culture. While federal OSHA has recommended practices for safety and health programs, culture is something different. It's the environment created by adherence to and alignment with certain values. An organization's values are demonstrated by what employees say and do at all levels, from executive leadership to management to direct support professionals to those who may be involved with production. Safety culture is only one element of organizational culture. And for context, mission and vision statements reflect this overall culture. For example, the mission of Encompass Michigan is to empower our member organizations to achieve their mission. But to properly support our members, the health and safety of both staff and persons served must be incorporated into our services, which is why health and safety training through our partnership with MIOSHA and loss prevention services through our self-insured group Workers' Compensation Fund are such important items on our menu of services that we offer to members. Our vision is of community engagement for all, with enhanced quality and fullness of life. And this vision cannot be achieved without a clear commitment to the health, wellness, and safety, again, of both staff and persons served. Safety, in fact, is a part of our culture. Without adequate consideration and allocation of resources to support, mission and vision cannot be obtained. Organizational culture is often reflected visually in the graphic of an umbrella, under which are its various elements. Safety is one of those elements, but it can also include other aspects such as quality, environmental, and wellness. And in fact, financial culture is a part of overall organizational culture, whether or not an organization is involved with production and the making of products or services involved in support of people. Safety is one element of organizational culture, but it's a key element, a critical component. And it's the premise of today's program that effective safety cultures can be built based on 5 steps. Encouragement to participate in the process, which is built on values, specifically of inclusion and teamwork. If an unsafe condition or act is observed, it is reported every time, based on the maxim that if you see something, you say something. And as such, there is no fear of retaliation if you do bring something forward. Workers receive training to understand any hazards involved with their job and have access to safety information that's presented in a format that's clearly understood. And if someone is at risk and work needs to stop, employees feel empowered to make that decision. In other words, they are able to shut down unsafe tasks. And good communication is fostered through the sharing of stories, both good and success stories, and cautionary or challenges that hopefully have been overcome. These are the 5 steps of building an effective safety culture. Let's take a few minutes and unpack each of these. Step 1 is to encourage participation, and that starts with properly communicating expectations surrounding health and safety. The communication of relevant standards for regulatory compliance is certainly a part of that, as well as company-specific guidelines or procedures that are based on the type of operation each employee will perform. Once employees understand expectations, however, it's important that they can contribute to establishing, maintaining, evaluating, and improving the health and safety program. This is the cultural element of participation and communication. And the participation of all team members can be elevated by framing this conversation as a dialogue, not a one-way flow of information from leadership to staff, but a dialogue between employees and organizational leadership, and through showing staff how they can support each other, which we'll talk more about in a moment, the result of which is keeping all employees safe. Step 2 is reporting, again, based on the maxim that if you see something, you should say something. And when this culture is present, employees should feel comfortable providing input and reporting safety or health concerns. If an unsafe condition or act is observed, it is reported every time. A good start here is to maintain an open door policy, to allow employees to speak with their supervisors about safety and to offer suggestions. Establishing forums for communication between employees themselves is important as well. This can be encouraged through safety meetings or requesting employee input. One way to report safety concerns, to gather that input, which could also involve reporting near misses or even suggestions for improvement. And this can be beneficial. It could take the shape of a safety suggestion box on the wall in one of the common areas of the facility, with cards available to document their concern or idea. And incentives can be offered for the best suggestion or one that is implemented that results in hazard mitigation or accident reduction. Employees are rewarded for proactive behavior, so that when the reporting of concerns as well as near misses or suggestions is rewarded, there is no fear of retaliation. Step 3 involves access to information and training, and employees should have access to the info that they need to participate in all phases of safety program design and implementation, so that a review of relevant safety information, policies and procedures, and the detail involved in something like a job hazard analysis is part of onboarding. Regular safety meetings should occur with a variety of topics and opportunities to be employee-led, and always allocate time for questions and answers to promote interaction. This can promote an environment where employees can support and even inspire each other to learn more about safety concerns, learn more about best practices, and in that way, they can better protect each other from hazards. Communicating with employees about openings on the site's safety committee, making sure they are aware of safety reporting mechanisms, the suggestion box if it's implemented, so they know about opportunities to directly participate and be involved in the program. Old school messaging like bulletin boards also affirms safety culture. More information is better. And when employees are aware of hazards and preventive control measures, it's present at every turn. They can look out for each other. So if they realize that someone is performing an unsafe act, they understand that taking time to address it is expected. Step 4 is empowerment, and employees should feel empowered to initiate or request a temporary suspension or shutdown of any work activity or operation they believe to be unsafe, since employees who are doing the work will be most familiar with the details of a task or operation. Allowing them to come forward and ask about investigating unsafe situations is good practice and can affirm a key element of safety culture, that productivity and efficiency, while important, are not prioritized at the expense of safety. For example, deadlines to produce in manufacturing or financial pressures for efficiency in a service environment should never be prioritized over safety. And a culture of empowerment that results helps employees remind each other of this should such a situation arise where there is a deadline to meet or where there is a need to increase efficiency, but never at the expense of the health and safety of the folks who are doing the work. Step 5 is the sharing of stories, including team members' input at every step of the organization's safety program improves the visibility of workplace hazards and the priority of their mitigation, so that when an employee reports a hazard, it must be addressed in a timely manner to prevent future injuries or illnesses. And these success stories should be shared as well at safety meetings, on those bulletin boards, and through employee newsletters or other forums for communication. Employees will feel empowered if they know their suggestions and concerns are taken seriously by leadership. Empowered employees maintain ownership, reminding peers to be safe and promoting better understanding of how and why safety is important. And ultimately, this helps to sustain the program over time. The benefits of health and safety programs and the foundation of an effective safety culture on which they are built help businesses prevent workplace injuries and illnesses, improve regulatory compliance, ultimately reduce costs, including potentially significant reductions in workers' compensation premiums. Culture engages workers, enhances the organization's social responsibility goals, and can in fact end up increasing productivity and efficiency, enhancing overall business operations. In conclusion, I challenge you, if you've taken time to be with us today, to consider how safety is woven into the fabric of your organization's culture. Are you inclusive of employee input, encouraging participation? Do employees report safety issues? Is that type of behavior encouraged and in fact expected without fear of retaliation? Does access to information lead to well-trained and knowledgeable staff? Are employees empowered so that they know they can initiate a pause or even shut down a task or operation if necessary? And are stories being shared to promote effective communication about safety, as well as the sustainability of an effective culture. Thank you for taking time to be with us today. Stay safe and healthy out there. Encompass Michigan remains committed to being a trusted resource for getting connected and staying informed. We are grateful to the following resources in the development of this training program. And we are also grateful for our longstanding partnership with MIOSHA's SET division. Thanks again, and be careful out there.